the earth, riches, and wisdom. So we have, even right there...
What's his name?
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the info war. David Knight has been down here for over a year, one of our great reporters and co-host of this radio show and also the Nightly News. He was listening to our local affiliate, 590 AM last night, because his brother-in-law out of North Carolina called him and said, you better go listen to Glenn Beck. Well, it re-airs here locally. And so he tuned in last night while packing the U-Haul, and he said, you know, we got to go into Glenn Beck's archive and find it. But he said, this is really bad. We have to do something about this. And I said, what did he say? He said, well, I'll just come in and tell you. But he told me over the phone right before broadcast. Beck said that we want violent overthrow of the U.S. government, InfoWars, by name. And that we tried to cover up the Bundy supposed racist comments, and that we were there, and that basically that was our video, or that we knew and tried to cover it up. Our people were there a week and a half ago. This was said last weekend. None of my reporters were there. We covered it yesterday when we saw it in the morning. When it had been out less than 12 hours, we got Bundy on. And I said the way they edited his comments, I think sounded, you know, very offensive and racist, but that I understood where he was coming from. And he said, no, I meant they've traded out one form of slavery for the other. But to basically say we're racist and we want violence, I mean, Beck, there's a reason you're getting sued right now, okay? And I don't think you're going to win. And I don't intend anything like that. But look, what you're doing is torturous interference. I know you're obsessed with my show. I know you watch it for years and take our guest and spin it. I don't care. That's fine. I just want to defeat tyranny. But what I'm trying to get at here is that he's putting out the exact talking points of Media Matters that on record is the White House, Direct conduit from the White House telling them what to do and say. MSNBC, CNN, I understand, saying I'm behind the Boston bombing and I'm deeply racist and, you know, all the rest of it. But to have Glenn Beck doing it, and I know what this is. He knows we're getting on affiliates all over the country. The show's exploding right now. Most of the stations we're on carry Glenn Beck. And he knows, because I've talked to some program directors, that there's little comments and things going on from the people in his office, not even a syndicator, Premier, about me and how I'm a bad show to have. And this has been going on behind the scenes. And then a lot of times I'm on live and Glenn Beck's on at night. He doesn't like that. He's an egomaniac. My show ends up getting picked up on Sunday live. While we do that show, people get a taste of it. Then they put us on at night, and then invariably we end up going on live. And I mean, they literally replace Rush Limbaugh with us in areas of the country and get better ratings. And I never had this slot to go up against Rush Limbaugh. I didn't want this slot. I had a nighttime show that GCN made me 17 years ago change to a daytime slot. And I said, I think it's a horrible idea. I don't want to go up against Rush Limbaugh. I need to go after stations at night. There's no way stations are going to dump Limbaugh for me. And they said, you're so good. His name was Michael Trudeau, and Ted Anderson still runs the network, but Michael Trudeau was like, I'm going to put you on up against him. You're going to take over. Well, I guess he was about 15 years, you know, early on that. But the point is that I want Rush Limbaugh to be on every TV station in the country because his ideas are a lot better than what the controlled left puts out. I want Glenn Beck to have 50 million listeners. I want Glenn Beck to sell 100 million books. I want Glenn Beck to have long days, pleasant nights. Because I agree with most of what he has to say. But, man, you know, it's a big deal when somebody says you're a racist with no proof. It's a big deal. When they say that that you want to overthrow the U.S. government and have violence to, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8 million people a day. I mean, that's really meant to hurt me. I mean, I don't care when MSNBC says it with 500,000 viewers and people know they're a pack of liars. That's a big deal when Glenn Beck does that to me. And I don't know what he thinks I'm going to do. I mean, I'm not going to take that line down. So we've got such bigger issues with Russia, huge issues with Obama trying to get the guns, trying to bust the borders, overrunning the Constitution, that I'll probably just let him walk all over me. But at a certain level, man, when people don't want you to be on the air and they want to get you off stations and they'll lie about you to do it, and I'm not even in competition with him, and Rush Limbaugh's done nothing bad to me. He's said snide things about me a few times when he didn't agree with something somebody wrote on my website, and that's fine. I don't agree with everything on there, but a lot of times he covers our story. He doesn't really give us credit. But I happen to know from behind the scenes some folks that play golf with him that he actually agrees with us more than he disagrees and listens to the show sometimes. Limbaugh, we're in competition with Rush Limbaugh, directly up against him. And he doesn't do this kind of crap. And, I mean, this is dangerous, folks, to have somebody on the air saying that you want to overthrow the government, want a violent overthrow. We already played clips like that 2 weeks ago. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this today. But, yeah, I dare somebody like Glenn Beck to say that to my face. That's all I've got to say. Because I got a family, and I've already put myself in the crosshairs. And this is Benedict Arnold type stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is textbook Benedict Arnold crap. And our affiliates out there who listen, the program directors and owners, they know what I say on air, and they're standing beside us and supporting us and not dumping our show, Beck. Go make your movies, ghostwrite your books, do whatever you're going to do, man. I'm not jealous or envious of you, okay? From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Hey, now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
And they're going to salute the black uniforms as I and others like Ron Paul are hauled off to prison. And as Rand Paul is discredited and destroyed. I don't think it's going to get to that because the American people aren't going to be intimidated and called racist and called terrorist. That's not going to work. You know, calling anybody that supports land rights or anybody that doesn't want free speech zones or snipers pointing guns at peaceful protesters with tasers and police dogs. If you don't like that, you're a domestic terrorist, you're an insurgent, you're an extremist, and yes, you're a racist if they can find anybody involved who talks in a hillbilly dialect. That's how all this propaganda works. And a lot of people get scared by it. And a lot of Republican leadership wants to continue the land grabs. They want to continue the bid rigging. They want to continue the no-bid contracts. They want to continue business as usual. Well, business as usual is collapsing this country. And we either change course now or we go off the edge into oblivion. Now, I'm going to talk with Knight briefly about what he heard Beck say last night. And I guess we're going to dig through the video and audio files of it yesterday and post it just to document what we're saying. But it doesn't matter. A lot of you probably heard it, saying that we want violence and that we're basically covering up the racism of Bundy and that we were out there at the ranch 2 weeks ago when he said all this, when we all now know this was taped Saturday and not by our reporters. And, of course, we reported on it. I mean, it's one thing to say Bundy could be a hillbilly or maybe racist. I don't think that's the case. He's certainly a fossil, though. And I think some of the stuff he said could be taken as offensive. I mean, like, there's black people out here. I'll bring one in the house and got them around here. I mean, it's just literally out in the middle of nowhere. It'd be like, I brought a Yankee in here. I saw one of them. City slicker. I mean, these are folks in the desert 7 generations. So, I mean, I think the Bundys are good people overall, and I think he just says what he's thinking. But compared to aborting 52% of black people, compared to all the other evil that's going on around here, we're letting him change the subject off of what almost became a new Tiananmen Square out there in the desert onto a statement. And by the way, we have the unedited statements of Cliven Bundy up on Infowars.com, where he said everything he said about, I want to help black folks in the Spanish. Nobody, I don't want to hear they don't pay taxes and work hard. It's wrong. They need their liberty, and we don't need to reverse the changes that were made during the 60s for liberty. We don't need to go back, and that's what this big government's doing. We got the full video up on Infowars.com and the transcript, so now I see what he's saying about it being out of context. Because when I had him on yesterday, because we were trying to cover it up, that's why we were the first to recover it and get a response from him, the first that we know of. I think there was one other radio show had him on before us, that's all on drugs. So I guess the second. The point is, within hours of this breaking in the New York Times, the day it broke, we have him on and are sitting there saying we don't agree with the way this had been spun and making sure this wasn't what he really stood for. And then we've already got MSNBC, CNN, and Glenn Beck, and Media Matters, and Vanity Fair saying that I'm with this guy and that I want violent overthrow. That's not what Bundy wants, and that I'm a racist. I mean, it's just really, really creepy to have this type of stuff going on. And now it turns out he was telling the truth. People go, well, he did make the cotton picking point. Yes, he was saying that that was not in the context of the quote. And now we have the full quote, and it turns out he was telling the truth. So now that you see it in full context, clearly this is like my great-grandfathers. I talked to my parents about this last night, did not talk like this. But I've always run into hillbillies in the middle of nowhere that do talk like this. And they're actually not racist. They are literally out of a time machine. But there's bad things if you go back in a time machine. There's also good things. They're saying no to the feds and no to Tiananmen Square because they're so old-fashioned. That's the good part of their old-fashionedness, is to be straight shooting and to stand up against tyranny. But then it's like talking to somebody who got off a time machine from 150 years ago. It sounds really weird to modern trendies and metrosexuals and everybody else. Now, here's the issue. There are times in history when more happens in a year than happened the previous 50. Many historians have said that. We're entering that key flux period right now where on every front, technological development, cultural changes, demographic changes, military operations, awakenings, decadence, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're going to see a lot of things happen. And you're also, during crises, going to find out who's who. Benedict Arnold was probably the third, or after George Washington, General Greene, maybe the second greatest general of the 6-7-year war from 1775, officially 1776, that went on for the next 6 years or so. But it turned out the last 2 years he thought we were going to lose. And he'd been British the whole time. Most people fighting were British. They were tired of having their rights taken. They most of them been redcoats. George Washington, all of them. And so he was a double agent the whole time, the last 2 years at least, because he thought he was going with the winners. He didn't all in for what he thought was right. He was a pragmatist, a sociopath. I can officially say, after 5 years, 6 years of Glenn Beck lying about me and attacking me, that he is a Benedict Arnold. There's no doubt that's who he is. For whatever reason, he may have always been a globalist. He may have always been bad news. I don't attack him when he said horrible lies about me. I mean, God, he said I have sex with Charlie Sheen in showers, folks. I knew Charlie Sheen very well before he got back on drugs and melted down. I met him through his brother, who's been a longtime listener, Emilio Estevez, and his dad. I'll leave it at that. The family were listeners before Charlie Sheen. And I've spent a lot of time at Martin Sheen's house. He's not the big liberal people think he is. They kind of manipulate the media who he really is. They're really smart people. His mother's an amazing lady. But that's the kind of stuff, and I ignore stuff like that. You know, you can say that's a joke. But then when he's always implying that I want civil war, want to kill police, and that I'm covering up racism, and that the Alex Jones side wants violence, as he said a week and a half ago, enough is enough. Because, you know, when he says any civil disobedience like we saw it at the Bundy Ranch is bad and he's against it, and he's really showing you who he is when he said 3 years ago on Fox that, we played this last week, that the government's going to stage terror attacks and blame the Liberty Movement for it. Well, he had their memos. He's right. He was listening to me then. He was, I guess, having a moment of thinking, oh, I'm scared they're going to set me up and blame me. I'll expose it. Well, now he's scared and doesn't want to go the route of telling the truth. Benedict Arnold, who was a great general, who we wish would have stayed true to the cause, has cowarded out and decided to fully join the system. So, and he doesn't like the fact that we're in a lot of the same affiliates as him. And so I'm not against those affiliates. I think it's a good show for you to carry. But don't penalize me because Glenn Beck's talking bad about me every day now, basically. Okay, I'm not attacking anybody in the conservative or liberty movement. I'm trying to stop Obama and the globalists who use the race card. And now Beck, and I didn't hear it, but my reporter heard it and wrote down notes. And I guess you got to go to the subscription thing to get it, but somebody will put it on YouTube. And then we can play it for documentation here. But Knight wrote notes. He's got notes right there. His brother-in-law called him and heard it in the morning, so it re-airs on our local affiliate, 590. So we tuned in last night while he was moving in the U-Haul and listened to it and wrote notes. And it was the classic stuff I've heard. What's that site? That crazy guy? Oh, I don't know. InfoWars? Yeah, that nut. Yeah, guy that wants to overthrow the U.S. government, wants violence? Yeah, well, he knew about the Bundy stuff, tried to cover it up. Yeah, tried to cover up the racism. Man, that is real defamation, okay? We had nothing. We did absolutely no such thing at any level. And so this isn't about Beck. It's about what's going to happen when the globalists blow up in Oklahoma City and try to blame us. What's going to happen when they start a new war? What's going to happen when they come after domestic groups and the guns? A lot of big hosts are going to say, well, go ahead and do it. And, well, Alex Jones has been arrested and Ron Paul just died of a stroke, wink, wink. Well, I think it's normal he died of a stroke. He was old, and yeah, Rand Paul just was in a car wreck. His back's broken. Alex Jones, you know, tried to shoot out with cops, and they took him out. Or he got caught with a bunch of drugs, with a, you know, whatever. That's the kind of stuff they do. I want you to know that when that happens, folks, you're looking at an enemy operative. Okay? Because now he's crossed the Rubicon with me. David Knight, you heard this last night, and again, it's bigger than Beck. It shows that he's scared. He's decided to throw in with the Southern Poverty Law Center the exact talking points of the White House-run Media Matters. Michael Savage isn't doing this. He's getting more hardcore. We salute him. He's not a coward. Sean Hannity's not being a coward. Rush Limbaugh's not being a coward. Glenn Beck has shown himself to be a really dangerous person. And I don't do this on air. I have to protect myself in the Liberty Movement. David, what did you hear last night?
Well, Alex, it really got me upset. As you point out, they were pretending that they didn't know what InfoWars was or that they'd never heard of InfoWars. But what he's doing is he's playing a very dangerous game, and he's totally mischaracterizing what happened there on Saturday the 12th. When this thing came out yesterday with the New York Times, he's essentially doing the Al Sharpton, Southern Poverty Law Center talking points, the way the New York Times edited and distorted and spun Bundy's comments, and he's doubling down on it, taking their talking points. But what was also bad was the way he was portraying Bundy, the people with him, and even us as being the aggressors, as being the people who are threatening. He's trying to pretend that he's Gandhi. He's not Gandhi. He's a Quisling. What happened there?
I mean, you told me, quote.
Yes.
He said, you know, the InfoWars group wants the violent overthrow.
Yes. What he was saying was, he said, they're pushing for this. He goes, when I heard that it was, I knew from the beginning that I wanted to be on the other side of the story because InfoWars made this a national story. He goes, that should be a red flag. Not a false flag, ha, ha, ha,
no,
but a red flag.
I'm not blaming Drudge, I'm giving him the credit. Drudge made it a national story. We broke it, he made it national.
Exactly.
It is a big story.
And he's saying that, you know, we're constantly pushing for revolution. I think that's not true. What happened there is exactly what Glenn Beck claims he wants to see happen, and that is people peacefully standing up with loaded guns in their face like Tiananmen Square. Now, some people, I didn't see anybody down there with a gun on them, but there were, well, actually, there was a couple of guys that were holding rifles, but nobody was pointing anything.
Back up there.
There was one guy on the bridge. They keep showing that picture from multiple angles, okay?
But the
we didn't know
point
he was
is
there.
that now it's been projected onto us, and now we weren't there this weekend when he made the black comments. Right. And then he said basically we were involved in that.
He said, these guys are embedded there. They're everywhere. He goes, they know that he was making those comments last Saturday. Well, that was not even the same Saturday.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
Judge, what is the secret of the universe?
Infowars.com.
When you look at the talking points, these are White House. This is Eric Holder's Justice Department, Harry Reid talking points. And I started seeing that 2 weeks ago and got really freaked out, David Knight. And I said, man, and he was just waiting the whole time to then open up an attack. And now now I was sent by one of our affiliates the clip. We're getting it queued up. In fact, it's ready right now. Part of this diatribe you heard saying we want revolution, we want violence. They're positioning him as a Judas goat to lead the liberty movement. It all just clicked.
Yes.
He is actually Benedict Arnold. He actually works for Obama. And I'm sorry I have to say that. He really does.
They wasted no time at all. The day...
Well, no, he was the leader even before the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, yeah.
He's been carrying the ball. He was putting the talking points out before the White House Media Matters.
He had 7 talking points the day after the shootout. It was the #1 story, and when I Googled Clive Bundy, that's why I read his story.
Our story was #1 because of Drudge.
That's right, but after the standoff, what he did was he had a story out there with 7 talking points, basically saying there's no connection to Harry Reid. The BLM acted perfectly reasonably. There's no problem with the Desert Tortoise. I mean, ignoring Agenda 21. And then
it's sovereign citizen, using the Southern Poverty Law Center catchphrase, the White House catchphrase. This is John P. Holdren.
Yeah.
I mean, John P. Holdren, Eric Holder.
Well, they had the article on Sunday after the Saturday showdown. And then on Monday, he had Clive Bundy on, and they tried to put words in his mouth and hang the label of sovereign citizen movement.
By the way, has there not been a directive the full year you're here to not attack Glenn Beck and not talk about him?
That's right.
Have there been any other directives about anything else?
No.
Just tell the truth.
It was very hard to do that.
And don't infight and keep the eyes on stopping the globalists.
That's right. That's right.
And how many attacks did we ignore?
A lot. And you know.
But I am not going to hear that I want a violent revolution, so when the feds blow up another Oklahoma City, I get the blame. And this guy handled by, I'm telling you, it all just clicked, just like I knew Reid was involved and they're scared. This guy probably actually meets with Obama.
Yeah, it's not just Cass Sunstein saying that he's going to pit one group of alternative media against another. He says he's going to infiltrate it and lead it away like you talked about at Judas Goat.
Well, I'm telling you, folks, if something happens to me or Drudge or WorldNet Daily, Joseph Farah, it's now been declassified, was on the Clinton hit list. And he's coming on the 3rd hour today. And now you got all this internet censorship stuff coming up in the next hour. They're moving right now. Let me tell you who's real. WorldNet Daily, Drudge, InfoWars. People shown who's on the right side, even though he said he didn't like these comments, which I agree with, the way they're taken. Sean Hannity. I'm not saying he's perfect. The point is we're really finding out who's who, man. Let's go to this clip one of our affiliates sent us of what you said you heard last night. Here's Beck.
Quite honestly, some of the people from, what's that stupid website's name?
Are you talking about the crazy conspiracy InfoWars?
InfoWars. Because these guys were so deeply embedded with the Bundys, we thought there's something wrong. Because if you're a spiritual person and you don't see these guys a mile away,
that's a red flag, right?
That's a real red flag, and it's not a false flag. These guys are dangerous. They are looking for revolution. They're looking for a fight.
That's right. If you have spiritual radar, you know that his lie that we want violence is true. Now, we're defensive, saying we just want private property, our families, Second Amendment. We just want states' rights. We just want freedom. We don't want Agenda 21. We just want liberty.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done's been right.
We wouldn't just cover this if it was Glenn Beck just saying this, but he's saying it off White House talking points, Media Matters talking points that he originated. So for anybody that's trained in tracking psyops and stuff, now it all clicked for me. Why he says I want him arrested and put in a camp. He said that a week and a half ago. We played the bizarre clip. Why he says I want violence. Why he says InfoWars wants violence is covering up the racism of Clive and Bundy, that we were there and knew about this. Within hours of us seeing it, we had him on and covered it and said the way it was spun is terrible. We're all about fighting racism here, real racism, you know, divide and conquer. And to have him do this, David, bottom line, what's your analysis on this? Because this is really dangerous.
Well, the bottom line is the best thing you could say about Glenn Beck is that he just doesn't know what's going on. He's totally uninformed and doesn't care, and he's spinning things. I don't think that's what's happening. Rush has talked about the drive-by media. We saw that happen out there. I would say that Glenn Beck is the comfy couch media. You know, at best case, if you're listening to him, you don't think that he's an FBI shill. The best you can say about him is that he's
an Obama FBI shill.
That's right. The best you can say is he's sending half a continent away. He doesn't have any reporters out there. He's not reading any of the facts. He's totally misconstruing everything. I don't think that's what's happening. The day after this happened, he had 7 talking points going in and defending Harry Reid, defending the BLM, ignoring the fact that they were pointing snipers at unarmed people all week.
And tasering and police dogging and saying, we'll shoot you. And Americans finally stood up and peacefully stood against it. But we didn't even have any guns. A few people did, and now we're leading it.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, I was there saying no violence, no violence, you know, over the radio. You were there covering it, and now he's lying about me, so they set me up. People go, well, he got what he deserved.
Yeah, he's used everything he can to assassinate the character of Clive and Bundy and assassinate our character. And as Jesse Ventura said, I don't know if it was his original expression or not, first they assassinate your character, then they assassinate you.
That was Gandhi. It was Gandhi.
Okay, that's what Gandhi said, okay? But that's the technique that they use. And he wants to compare himself to Gandhi. He's really a quisling. He is really selling out.
He's not. He's totally handled.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What he is a he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
He thinks like doing whatever he wants makes him a winner. Not in God's eyes.
That's right. If he had even read his book on Agenda 21, I'm sure he had somebody ghostwrite it for him, he would have understood what was going on there as part of many different aspects. There's a lot of different aspects. There's crony capitalism, there's corruption, there's Agenda 21, there's an out-of-control police state. He has ignored and talked against all those as if he were the New York Times or as if he were the Southern Poverty.
Well, it's in the BLM documents that they wanted Bundy's land for the environmental easement.
Yes. Yes.
Where they say, we can build on this and we have this as an easement. And they go, oh, we're lying. And we said we lied about the bullets.
Well, he laughed at Bundy on the Monday night show and said, oh, you're going back to the 1860s to try to support your argument. When the BLM confiscated land in Texas, confiscated that farmer's land, they went back to the 1803 Louisiana Purchase. What Bundy is doing, he's going back to the Constitution.
The oldest thing in land is the most powerful. Exactly. Look, Rick Perry says he'll go kick the feds off if they're trying to grab land. Well, what, is Rick Perry an extremist now?
Of course, they did the same thing in Nevada to a man who's part of the Shoshone Indian tribe. You know, and as Russell Means pointed out, he said, every treaty we've had with the U.S. government, they've broken. Your treaty with the U.S. government is the Constitution, and they're breaking it now, as his book, Where White Men Fear to Tread. That's exactly what's going on here. What they've done to the Indians and the reservations is what they want to do to everybody.
And that video is called Welcome to the Reservation. If you guys can find that, it's like an hour long. He died last year, an amazing individual. Again, you meet him, he's totally different than what the media said he was. It's incredible how they distort who people are. And that's what I realized. They're distorting who I am.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere. And that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. Every once in a while, I get things wrong, and I admit when I get things wrong. I wish I was wrong about all this. It's not fun to have White House-run CNN, MSNBC, Media Matters, saying I'm deeply racist with no proof, and that I'm violent, and I want to kill cops, and I want a war. They're saying that so cops start thinking I'm a bad guy, so when they set me up, nobody comes to my aid. I'm being set up. But that's part of the mission. I mean, look. I will say it again. One of my grandfathers was a fighter pilot, crash landed, almost died in World War II. My other grandfather flew B-17s. Before that, he flew Liberator flying coffins out of North Africa. Once they got him into Italy, he was in B-17s. He got sunstroke in a mission, and then the next mission, or 2 missions later, his whole crew got blown up and died, to give you an example of how I barely survived. And my point of using that analogy is, they knew when they were flying into flak clouds, that was the factories they had to bomb. I know when I get enemy attacks that I'm over the target. So if I get killed or set up, let's just get one thing straight. You didn't have a victory over me, New World Order. I knew what I was climbing into. I knew the cockpit I was getting into. I am steering into the flak. The more I get, the more I know I'm on target. So I just want everybody to understand that I'm in this to win it. I'm not in this because I'm a narcissist. I'm not in this because I want a big name for myself. I am in an absolute war that I know is real. I've committed my full life to it. And I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job to fight these tyrants. I believe in humanity, and I'm committed. And I want to believe in other libertarian talk show hosts. I want to believe in you. I want to beat these people. I want a better world. I want to uphold my family name. I want to be honorable. I want to look at the facts and try to give you the most reasoned, historical, morally based analysis I can. And I'm impure myself. I'm worldly myself. I'm not perfect, folks. I'm not on some high horse. I'm not here lecturing you. I know we're on the edge of World War III. I know the globalists are doing reckless things on every front. And I think the hand of God, in fact, I know, is the only reason we haven't already had a nuclear war or a huge bioweapons release. And I pray every day that we not totally collapse. Because history shows elites become arrogant, they become megalomaniacal, and they destroy civilizations. Before, they didn't have thermonuclear weapons and bioweapons. I mean, the Huns, thousands of years ago, were catapulting plague-ridden Black Plague bodies over Chinese fortress walls. So I guess bioweapons are ancient and aren't new, but I mean more sophisticated ones. I just want everybody out there to have a good life and to have a chance to be empowered. I'm not anybody's enemy. I don't want a war with the occupied federal government, because I know that's part of the plan. I don't want any cops to be killed. And everybody knows I say that every day. I'm trying to stop a staged civil war. And so the response is by the Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, Media Matters, CNN, MSNBC, and Glenn Beck, is that I want a bloody civil war and I'm a racist. And that's because, ladies and gentlemen, they don't like the fact that I know who they are. They don't like the fact that I see right through their baloney. Now, do you agree with me that we're on the edge on so many fronts, economic, spiritual, cultural, biological, that we're not on the edge of a crisis, we're already going down into the valley. We're going into the valley of crises, into the pit. We're marching into hell. And I just want to turn this around. You know, these government-run churches tell you it's foregone conclusion that everything has been predestined. Well, then why is so many times in the Bible do the prophets go and tell the people repent and turn back, and they do, and they get a 100-year reprieve like Nineveh? Or God sent Moses to free the Israelites. I mean, or 1776. I mean, do we just have to give in to evil and say the world's over and this is the way it is? I mean, maybe it is. But I don't like people saying we can't do anything. Or every time someone stands up and says, let's try to be good, everyone says, oh, you can't do that. There's no such thing. I'm just one little guy who had dyslexia and a learning disability and could hardly spell, who pretty much by myself built a giant independent media operation that reaches conservatively 15 million people, probably 20 million a week. I know the power of taking action. I know the power of good people. I know the power of free association and what you've done helping us to spread the word and what we've done for you together. As brothers and sisters in liberty, I don't care what color you are or where you come from or what religion. I want you to have a future. I want justice. Cliven Bundy spoke out against blacks killing most of their babies. In his speech, the full unedited speech is on InfoWars. Is he racist for using the term Negro, United Negro College Fund, the Negro League? I mean, for old-timers, folks, that's the term blacks wanted to be known as. Is he insensitive? No, he's a fossil. Pointing out the new slavery of the old, but MSNBC knows for modern yuppies ignorant, they don't know that. They play on your ignorance. Unedited video shows Bundy making pro-black, pro-Mexican comments. Go read it for yourself. It actually sounds like Jeb Bush talking about Mexicans. But it doesn't matter. By the end of the day, they'll say he hates Mexicans. Because they are the real race pimps creating divide and conquer. Is Cliven Bundy an FBI asset? No. No. Al Sharpton is. Does Cliven Bundy have a bunch of FBI on his staff? No. Glenn Beck does. And I just got done telling you, the FBI, when I said on air, this guy needs to be questioned, they went and questioned the guy that wants the Ebola to be released. I'm not saying the whole FBI is bad. And it's important to realize, folks, America isn't America anymore. America is seized by the military-industrial complex, itself run by predominantly foreign offshore banks, the same ones that got Obamacare passed, bipartisanly. You've got a minority of Republican libertarians who are growing, who are sane, who want to fix things, so they're being attacked by the Republican leadership, the Democratic leadership. You've now got Glenn Beck, if you just joined us, and it's not about him attacking me, it's about a sea change. He had the Southern Poverty Law Center, White House, Media Matters talking points for anyone else almost 2 weeks ago, saying sovereign citizen, it's going to get violent. Alex Jones wants violence. Now I'm racist. We played the clip last hour. I want violence. You don't want to be with me. None of that's true. Our affiliates are calling us, multiple ones, freaking out, saying, we hear your show. We can't believe he's saying this. We carry him too. But it doesn't matter. They're not worried about the general audience. They want it on record when all hell breaks loose that I'm the reason the Civil War started, not Obama, not Glenn Beck, not the globalists. And they're going to go after all liberty-based groups. He wants to be left standing as the new vestigial leader of what's left of libertarians. And, you know, I just said here in the office earlier on air, I said, you know, he brags he's got all these FBI agents that work for him, former FBI, that, you know, he's got all these people. I've talked to people that worked there years ago about how they watch everything we do, and they're supposed to be us, but then demonize us. And I was told that by high-level people. I mean, repeatedly, it's not even that big of a deal. I'd be going into Fox Studios, be on another show. They say, Glenn Beck is freaking out, climbing the walls. You can't come on now. And I'd be, that's fine. I'm going over to The View and going over to do, you know, CNN. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but, you know, Glenn Beck and his, quote, people don't want you in here. They're throwing fits. And, you know, they've got pull in the government. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, man, the guy's the government. Glenn Beck is the government. And, you know, I could name names, but I'm not going to name names, folks, okay? And then I was told by someone else, high level, and these are people's names you'd know, okay, about Glenn Beck, and that the FBI is there, a section of it from the Justice Department. I go, but wait, he's going after Van Jones. He's going after Obama. They're like, that's all fake. And the guys are like, Alex, is that really true? And I said, of course it's true. Look into him in the FBI. So they started search engineering. And guess what they found from the Blaze? Hiding this in plain view. And again, how do I go from Ukraine to this? Because it's the whole government is just a bunch of special interest, CIA, NSA, FBI, corporate groups building their own private kingdoms. Basically, Glenn Beck is like a private CIA takeover of Clear Channel is basically what's happening. And then no one else can make money at Clear Channel but Glenn Beck. and at Premier, and no one else gets paid money because all the former executives went over there, and it's all FBI and CIA run, and here they are openly hiding it in plain view. This is from allaccess.com, 10 questions for Buck Sexton. I never even knew who this guy was when I saw him, but I said, that guy is a government agent. The secure look, the satisfied look, these are kind of coward-like guys that think because they're part of the system in information warfare, they're above the law. And I mean, just look at that guy. I mean, I've seen that look so many times growing up, going to family reunions with people that were CIA and stuff. I mean, Dallas is a CIA command base. That's the reason Glenn Beck moved to Dallas. How do I know all these people? Because I've grown up around this, folks. Now, let's continue. It says, brief career synopsis, CIA, Council on Foreign Relations, theblaze.com, radio network. This is Buck Sexton, host, national security editor. This is from The Blaze bragging about who they're... This is from their bio. This is them telling you this. CIA, Council on Foreign Relations, he heads up the radio network. How did you get into radio, TV, and commentary from the CIA? How did you make that transition? See, I was just saying all this. The crew, I don't think, believe me, they went and looked it up. 6 years as an intelligence analyst. I was weeks away from starting my full MBA, probably headed to Wall Street. They go on, who else helps you run The Blaze? Betsy Morgan, President and Chief Strategy Officer of The Blaze, formerly CEO of the Huffington Post. They are the Justice Department. They are Obama. And I'll just go ahead and we're going to put reports together. Glenn Beck, you want it, buddy? Maybe I'll name names, son. You want it? You're going to get it. You want it? You're going to get it. As I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and I knew you were after me, and I said, leave me alone. What, you think the fact that you're Benedict Arnold going to come out? You were spouting White House talking points 3 days before, word for word, it came out of Media Matters. You got the memo before they did, bud. We got your ass. You want more? We're going to compile a dossier on all your people now, and we're going to put it out for folks. We're going to realize your little base over there is a CIA, FBI substation. You understand? This is what we're talking about. You want to say, I want violent revolution? You want to say, I want to lock you up in jail when that's what you want? Without a trial? You want to say I'm a racist? We're going to show this is directly out of the Justice Department what's happening. Right here. Your people hide this stuff in plain, stinking view. I wonder what Anonymous is going to do about this. Anonymous, are you going to let them bring me down? I'm for real. I need the grassroots to come to my aid right now. I can tell the enemy is rolling the Death Star around, is going to be clear to fire in 5 minutes. What are you going to do? I need you to help me. I'm for real. These people want to bring me down. And if they can bring me down, they can bring you down, they can bring Drudge down, they can bring WorldNet Daily down, they can bring the real liberal media down, the libertarian, Thomas Jefferson media down. You're gonna as if he's not going to get hung out to dry later when they fully take over. If he wasn't always a spook, he was brought in by him in the last 4 years. Roger Ailes was in intelligence to set up Fox News. That's on record. And they broke away from him to start their own operation. And the word is because Roger Ailes is too patriotic and wouldn't work with Obama. Oh, you want all of it? I think I'm going to go ahead and load torpedoes. You know, I am so focused on the New World Order and everything else, but I've got to deal with their attack vessel they got right in front of me. I got so much to do around here, but I can go get all the stuff I've already researched, load it up, and I'm going to. I think I'm going to do it. In fact, now that I've announced it, I have to. I think I'm going to drop everything on your ass. And excuse my French, ladies and gentlemen. You want it, little boy who thinks he's so tough and sends threatening letters to everybody? Prepare. You think a bunch of spooks at your operation scare me? You think as you surround yourself with a bunch of government people, you're safe from the truth? I don't work for the CIA or the FBI. I work for my conscience. Now, That's the problem with our country, is you've got all these people working in government who want to go take over divisions of the economy and run their own operations. And they don't like the fact that everybody knows I'm for real, who's got a gut and who's got instincts and common sense and a track record, and they want to destroy me with the false flag that's coming very soon that's going to be blamed on the Liberty Movement to kill the Tea Party. Well, I'm not going to sell out and mediate what I'm saying. I'm not going to back off. I want to end abortion. I want to end open borders. I want to end the attack on the Second Amendment. I want liberty. That's what I want. Not helicopters, not jets, not lounging around in couches with FBI agents all day. I'm done. But here they are, folks, all of them in your face, a nest of globalists spouting Obama lines. So there you go. A bunch of guys that think they can play you and your family. A bunch of guys that think they can create some cult leader that you're going to follow so they can control and lead the liberty movement right into the Judas goat chutes. You know what a Judas goat is? It's a goat train that doesn't get slaughtered every year, that is the leader of the goats, the leader of the sheep, that leads them into the slaughter. I am not a Judas goat. So there you go. I mean, the Huffington Post runs... I mean, and then you look into this woman. I mean, my God, does he have to have Obama as his co-host or something for you to figure this out? And again, if you're an affiliate or a new listener, I don't infight. I don't talk about anybody in the so-called libertarian or conservative media. But when they're lying about me, doing things like this, trying to destroy me, the meme needs to go out with people like Glenn Beck, who needs Obama. And why does he have so many Obama people working for him and so many Justice Department people working for him? And why is he spouting Justice Department lines and propaganda? Now, Hal Turner was an FBI asset, and I told you he was, and Anonymous got into his email, and you know what happened to him. I'm going to say a prayer. God, I recognize that this is a key juncture point, that the enemy realizes that we're growing exponentially as they come after us with their operatives. Please, I've been a humble servant and tried to be the best I can. And please protect us, and please help us expose the enemies within, foreign and domestic. And please allow me to continue on in my work so that I can do a better job and continue to wake others up. Or if it is your will that they destroy me, please let it be an edifying message to all so that we can learn from it and in the end defeat these enemies within, these Benedict Arnolds. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen. And I just ask you all to pray for this broadcast and to pray that all be revealed and that all the veils be torn back from the would-be religious cult leader that is the CIA frontman, the FBI frontman, the Justice Department Obama frontman that is Glenn Beck. And I just pray that that happen, and if it's God's will, it will. He likes to invoke God all day. When I invoke God, I do it very humbly in God's presence. And I pray that all of you will pray with me that justice be brought against MSNBC, Obama, Eric Holder, Glenn Beck, and the rest of these people. He's now using the race card. Edits, Bundy praised black folks and Hispanics and said they're good, hardworking people that pay their taxes and that it's a new form of slavery. You have the full video on InfoWars, and they knew this was all coming out, and they put this out. Now they claim that we were involved, that we're racist, and that we want violent overthrow of America so that when the staged attack comes, we'll be blamed. I am not going to be part of this. This will be extremely destructive. All the things Beck's been doing. If you look at the comments on his websites, they're like 90+% negative. People are deserting him in droves. But it's just like MSNBC. They don't care if it kills their ratings. It's a mission. They've been ordered to do it. So he's, Bundy's a racist, a horrible person out of context. Alex Jones is a racist. Alex Jones wants violence. It doesn't matter if it's not true. They have to do it. And the fact that he would do it at this point means that they intend to drop the hammer on the liberty movement very, very soon. And if we go along with this and are cowards and change what we're saying so they'll be nice to us, they win. They know we've got the power. They want to intimidate us. Just because they've got FBI or CIA in front of their name, I happen to know a lot of people in the government that are liberty lovers and don't like what's happening. And so it doesn't matter, but you're not magic and have magic powers. It's like at Bilderberg covering Hillary and Obama there in 2008 in my film, The Obama Deception. The prostitute media wouldn't cover it. The drive-by media wouldn't cover it. The lapdog media wouldn't cover it. We were calling them saying they're here, they're here. Secret Service would like take MP5s out and aim them at us. They'd have State Department security, Marines flipping us off and threatening us. And they were doing it under orders. Later, I had some of them apologize to me. But it was just like little kids talking in their sleeve. And I can wear a black suit and a black tie if I want to. I mean, just because you've got some alphabet agency in front of your name, it's like saying you work for Coca-Cola. I mean, there are so many CIA people and defense intelligence people in Dallas, it'll make your head spin. I grew up there. And it's just so disgusting to know every move these people are going to make and then to see them make the move. But the reason they make moves that look stupid if you're awake is they're targeting a dumbed-down public. They're counting on you not being informed. Why would they say there's no bullets being bought or armored vehicles? Why would they say there's not a police state being set up when it is? Why would they say there's no drones? Why would they say there's no $5,000 fee on small businesses on each employee if you don't get Obamacare or cut them down to 30 hours or less? And that's in the law. It's happening. Why do they say it's not true? Because they think you're that dumb. So they tell you, I want to kill cops. They'll probably take that out and play that clip. They tell you Alex Jones wants war. Alex Jones wants civil war. When I say every day, I don't want civil war, it turns into he wants civil war. We'll play the clip then where I want civil war. I'm so tired of the betrayal and the treason. I'm so tired of the dishonor. I want to think more of people. I want to believe that everything I was told about people wasn't true, even though it's been proven to be right. There's no FEMA camps. Ron Paul has a thing called a money bomb to blow up the government. He said that when the first, it's just like, money bomb's been going on for 6 months back when he said that 6, 7 years ago. The Army needs to be used against these people. That was the Southern Poverty Law Center Media Matters line then. And I kept saying, these are government lines. These are hardcore inside lines first, not later. He doesn't repeat the lines later. He progenerates. He gives birth. He coins them. He gets the memo first, folks. And I say he works for Obama. It's above that. And, it's come out a few years ago that I'm on the enemies list. And, man, they've done stuff to me I'm not even going to get into. It's just like, you too, Beck. It's like Caesar with Brutus. You too? You too? I mean, I don't deserve this. And I expect it from Rachel Maddow. You know? And I'm sick of it. I mean, these people are evil. Evil, evil. We cannot compromise with them. We cannot negotiate with them because it's all done in bad faith. And the mainline liberals out there are good people. I'm not saying go follow George Bush and Dick Cheney. I'm saying the Democratic Party right now with Obama is taking over everything and trying to end the Republican Party. If the Democratic Party was being extincted, I would be against it. We need 3 parties, 4 parties, not one. If Bush would have had his Justice Department arrest Michael Moore, even though I don't like Moore, who's anti-gun, I would have run around like a chicken with my head cut off, like I did with Dinesh D'Souza. When the left is persecuted, I stand up against it. Because I'm not about left and right, folks. I'm about Constitution, common sense. And because I'm real organically, and the system knows I'm real, they got everything tapped, they are scared of me. Look, man, I'm just scared you guys are going to win and destroy everything. I don't want to fight with the New World Order. I've got to fight you, though, because I cannot join with evil. I physically can't do it. I physically, when somebody's choking, I go help them. It's the new virtues caring about nobody. Well, I don't want to live in a family like that. I don't want to be around people like that. I don't understand all this. I don't understand dishonorable people. I saw a video in New York with a bunch of black folks on a bus. I'm going to do a piece on it. My buddy Pat sent it to me. It's on my phone, guys. I want you to get it. And this thug is starting to harass two old black people on canes, a man and his wife in suits and nice dressed on the bus. And this big guy is like threatening him for no reason. And then a little black guy gets up, and he's about 2/3 the guy's side. It looks like he's about 45 years old, and beats up this young thug. As soon as he pushes the old man, this guy gets up and goes up and beats him up. And I just love that video. Not the beating up part, but how just the good guy absolutely stomps that thug's butt in the ground. And that's the spirit that's going to save our society. Because if I see somebody push an old man for no reason, I'm going to stomp their head in the ground. And when I'm in the right, nobody can, it's very hard to beat me. And it's the same thing for you out there who are good. You see somebody, I don't want to get in a fight, but I see somebody starting to beat up an old man or an old lady. Every punch I throw is going to knock your teeth out and break your nose. Because I'm in the right. The few fights I wasn't 100% in the right, I couldn't even fight. And got my butt kicked. But every time I was in the right, I was unstoppable. And I'm not going to get into stories, but it's pretty off the chart. And that's what I'm telling you, folks, what the founder of the Texas Rangers said. No man who's wrong can stand up against a man who's in the right who keeps on a-coming. And I'm going to keep on a-coming to the end. I'm not going to stop ever. You've got my commitment. Ever. I am never backing down. I am committed. I cannot stop. I'm going into this thing. No matter what happens to my family, no matter what happens to me, no matter what happens, I'm never selling out. I'm never giving in. I'm never backing down. Because these people we're facing are the ultimate evil. The big, epic battle is here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I'll say it, as a listener of this broadcast that spreads the word, that's supportive, that's involved, we influence Congress. That's all over the news. They're totally freaked out. They call it the Alex Jonesification. They're like, oh, you're discredited if you're with him. Because they know, folks, it's a black arrow, what's on this show, to the New World Order, to smog. The spirit of this broadcast and what we do here, not fearlessness, but a desire to engage the enemy, a desire to never back down. And it's a train wreck a lot of days, folks, but it's real. The enemy knows it's real. The spirit of this transmission, if duplicated, if transferred like fire, will burn down the New World Order and restore the Republic. I heard what Farrah said, man. I want to see Spain. I want to see Greece. I want to see Portugal. I want to see Italy. I want to see Bora Bora. I want to go to Hawaii. I mean, I just want to spend time with my kids. I just like, but all I do is fight these people, and I'm exhausted a lot of times, so I'm not even that good at it. I'm like in the arena constantly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm like stumbling around. And just more gladiators just keep coming out of the pit. And, I mean, I don't know. All I know is that they don't like what we're doing. I mean, if you've studied history or even what they say, these globalists are bad. These globalists are evil. I said I'd take calls, but I won't. I'm out of time. It's so creepy to be targeted by the White House. The average person's scared of what their neighbor thinks of them. Every once in a while, I'll be in a restaurant or walking down the street or in a store, and some socialist, globalist come over and go, Alex Jones, you're a kook and idiot, and I hate you. I like to kick your butt, or black helicopters, kook man, or boo, boo. They'll come over to my table. That's happened a few times. Is that some liberal thing they do? They'll go, boo, 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 shame on you. And it just means nothing to me. I was over to Buddy's once at his local community pool hot tub, and these trendies come over and they go, Alex Jones, I think you're a disgrace and a kook. And they all start going, It was a couple months ago. Weldon was there. He was over there with me. And we had a few beers, and I just looked at him, And I just kept talking to them, and they laughed because my buddies laughed because it meant nothing to me. Those guys thought them laughing at me would upset me. Laughing at me when the globalists run child kidnapping rings where they make snuff films of little kids. I'm fighting people that kidnap little kids and make snuff films. You think some trendy who thinks all day how they dress and how they look and what cares what people think of them, you think I'm scared of you? You think I'm scared of being laughed at? You people might as well be from another planet. The New World Order could put a gun to my head and say, join us or die. And I'd say, go ahead and pull that.